Yes, people, welcome back to the Backpacking Cycle. In today's episode, we've got our first guest. So, Kimron, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I feel so blessed to finally get down here and speak to you after seeing you for such a long time ago. Thank you for having me, brother.
Dude, I really appreciate you coming on. It's a massive thing just to have a guest on the podcast. It's a big step up for me. And I think you've got a lot of enlightening information to give to the people. So, I'm really interested for it.
I'll try my best. All I know is I know nothing.
Socrates, that's all. Yeah, we don't know anything. We absolutely know nothing. So, but we can just share what we've experienced.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you.
So, Kimron, I think your journey is like really interesting for me, just from like your own struggles and like what I see in successful people or people who have, you see that spark in them is they always have a lot of struggle first before they propel to like the next stage of their life. So, I kind of just wanted to dive into your story a little bit first. So, could you tell us a little bit
Sure.
about how you got to living into Bali and what was the steps you took to going from being homeless to being where you are now?
Yeah, sure. My journey, and I'll be as concise as possible because I don't want to bore any of your viewers, but I would be unfair of me if I was to cut the story. So I won't give you the short or the long version. I'll give you the Goldilocks version, just to give
The
some
Goldilocks
context
version.
into, yeah, because I have to give you context to why it worked for me. Because you see the solution now, yes, I'm living in Bali. Yes, I was able to overcome my homelessness. But if I didn't go through my trials and tribulations beforehand, I wouldn't have been prepared or even able to identify what it was I was even looking at or what I was struggling with. So I'm going to go back a little bit, give you guys a bit of context, and then tell you how I got to this particular situation. So my whole problem, my whole struggle started 11 years ago. Oh, no, it's about, not lie, lie, 12 years ago now, when I broke up with my daughter's mother. You know, I was pretty young at the time. We had a great relationship for 10 years. And then I got something called, like, something happened to me. It was called parental alienation. Have you ever heard of that before?
I've not, no.
Have you heard of parental alienation? I never knew about it either. So parental alienation is when one of the partners withholds the child or children from another parent. So completely removing that parents from the child's life, right? You probably got friends that happened before, but I never knew about this. So I got alienated. Mom just died. I was basically left alone, and all I had was my daughter. I never knew her mother would do that, alienate me from my daughter, but she did, and she knew we'd been together for 10 years, so she knew all about my past. You know, I was in gangs. She knew everything about me. So because she knew everything about me, she used everything about me in court to dismiss me from my daughter. They say I was a gang member, I was violent, and all this stuff to use against me. So when that happened, obviously I had no support. I was very young. I was 20, 24 at the time, you know? Gosh, people know my age now. 24 at the time, right? And for me, what happened was I became depressed, like severely depressed. It actually became manic depression, where I couldn't get up, I couldn't go eat, and because I couldn't see my daughter, I didn't know what to do, where to turn to. I was going through court, being dragged through the coals, you know, having all these allegations thrown against me. The one person I thought was with me for 10 years, you know, my ride or die, was now throwing stones, bricks, and bottles, trying to persecute, you know? So I got manically depressed. I tried to commit suicide twice. Once, I tried to jump in front of a train, got stopped off from the fast train to London. And second, I tried to overdose on some pills. My best friend came over and saved me. So that's the context. And I struggled with manic depression for 5 years. And I didn't go to any clinical place because I had a friend who also had depression. And I saw what those tablets, pills, and psychologists did to him. You know, he went crazy, right? So I was like, no freaking way am I taking these medicines. So I went through a lot of trials and tribulations, you know, going through that 5 year period of being up and down, up and down, up and down. But it taught me something. When I came out of the manic depression, I was 27 at the time, right? Came out of the manic depression. I, uh, Even though I was struggling mentally, I was struggling physically, struggling financially, because I lost my jobs. I even got arrested on my first day of a new job because my ex-partner sent the police and a false allegation. Yeah, mate, everything you can imagine to go wrong in your life went wrong in my life. Everything. Okay? I had no friends because all my friends, told all my friends, I abused her. I was violent. So all my friends were, you know, this big black guy, ex-gang member, and this little cute white blonde girl, you know, who are they gonna believe? They ain't gonna believe
Yeah, I
me.
wonder, I wonder who's going to win that
So
one.
people I thought were my friends, you know, honestly, people I thought were my friends and knew me, they turned their back against me. And it taught me a very valuable lesson in life. You know, when it comes down to it, I only have myself. That's it. And that was the first thing that really made sense to me was when it all matters, I either choose or I don't. I either do or I choose. I have to do one or the other. But it doesn't matter what I do, there's consequences. There's consequences of me being sad and angry and nothing happening, or there's consequences of me slowly picking myself up. So I learned how to become self-sufficient. I learned how to manage my emotions from going from very angry to learning to control my emotions. Obviously, I can't see my daughter. I'll be going mad. So after 5 years of doing that, you learn to self-regulate. Do you see what I mean? And I then started to go down the path of accountancy, right? I was trying to be an accountant at the time as well. And everything was starting to slowly work its way up. And I rebuilt my life, right? I rebuilt my life. I was making stupid, silly money by rebuilding my life because I was focusing my anger, my depression, all the negative things into purpose, into my mindset, and into activities. I'll give you a quick example. One thing, again, this is for context, and I'll tell you what I did. Then you'll make sense. You go, I get it. What I would do was, I used to love outdoors, right? So on the weekend, I would find a green space on the map. There's hardly any in the UK, especially in London, right? But I moved to Leeds at this time. So I got out of London, I moved to Leeds, right? And near Sheffield, there has these really big malls and stuff you can go and trek. And you know the malls in Sheffield, right? I'm sure. So I say to myself, I need to train my brain to go. Because I realized my biggest enemy was this guy. As you know from going through Vipassana, this guy doesn't help you at all. Do not rely on this guy.
Not at all.
This guy's
He does
an
not
asshole.
want you to win at all.
He does not. What do you win? He's a fucking asshole. Can I swear? I just did. Beep it out.
Yeah,
He's an
just keep
asshole.
swearing. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, fine. He's an asshole. So I had to train him, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to the malls or go to any place outdoors and I'll plot. What I'll do is I'll turn around, close my eyes, turn around and stop. And I'll say I'm going straight. If it's through a fucking lake, if I have to climb up something, down something, I'm going straight until I cannot physically go anymore. And I push myself to do that every single time. Every time I try to deviate, I'm like, no, just straight line. So I did that for 2-3 years, and I got that resilience of going when I say go. So that's the backstory. Okay. So I'll tell you how I ended up in Bali. 2019. 2017, so I rebuilt my life again after another, disastrous time. I've had, honestly, I'm like the recession, mate. I come every 4 or 5 years. honestly, it really is.
You come every 4 or 5 years.
Mate, every 4 or 5 years, things go belly up. I promise you, because I was a total dick, right? I didn't really understand my traumas, and I was just repeating the cycles over and over again with just a new face, right? I had this abandonment issues. I had anger issues. I didn't trust anyone. The moment you showed me a slight bit of, disloyalty, I'm done with you. And that was my habit pattern of my life. So I was able to rebuild myself after another disastrous 4-year cycle. So a new cycle begins. I met a beautiful, amazing German girl, changed my life, loved my life, like amazing girl in Leeds. She lives in Germany. She's like, hey, I want to continue seeing you, but you're in England and I'm in Germany. And she convinced me, she made me convince myself actually that I could do more than 9 to 5. So that was my first proper endeavor into really entrepreneurship. Until then, I was freelancing, contracting, I had my own company, but I wasn't my own boss per se. I was still working on behalf of people, right? So I figured out a way to move in Germany, man. Like I literally, I used everything I learned to focus. I used everything I learned to find solutions, and I found a solution. I literally went to my boss. I said, boss, you know what? I am going to leave. I thought, no, I want to figure out a way. I want to leave. I moved to Germany for love. And he's like, stupid idea. But I understand why you're doing it. She's a cracking girl. I've seen a picture of her. I have a picture all up on my wall, right, of her. Like, I was in love, my friend, love. So, so what happened was, he's like, okay, Kimron, I got a better deal for you. Because I was in the UK, there's a company called Queens. And house builders, all in the UK, like Taylor Wimpey and stuff like that, they use this system. And I was only 6 people in the whole country who is qualified enough to use this system on other companies. So I was a valuable asset. They didn't want to lose me. So I came and fine. Here's what we're going to do. You can move to Germany. We'll pay you 10 grand a month. Believe it or not, 10 grand a month, right? Fly, we'll pay for all the expenses, pay for all this stuff. Just come every couple of weeks to the UK. Sold. So I moved to Germany. Moved to Germany. Me and her got a house together, living happily ever after. But again, my demons resurfaced. So 3 years later, I told you, maybe 4 years. 3 years later, I cocked it up again, mate. Cocked it up again, you know. I cocked it up again, and this was COVID happened. So 2000, it was 2000 March. Remember the date? The 4th or 5th of March, 19th of March, 2020. I remember exactly when it was. And she confronted me. I tell this story a lot, so you probably see me tell this story before. She confronted me with the evidence, which was irrefutable. It's a photo. You can't deny that's your black ass. So there I was, right? In the photo, I can't be like, oh yeah, we all look alike. That's the other guy.
You still try it, don't you? Like, yeah, that's not me.
That's not me. But I'm like, in the picture, I was like, oh yeah, fuck, you see the teeth and everything. I can't even deny it's me. God damn it. So I basically had to face it. But me being the type of man that I was, I didn't want to face it. I wanted to run away. So it was COVID, it was happening. We moved back to our parents because we had sold our place that we were in, and we was going to go and move to the country. And when it happened, obviously, it was a case of, oh shit, I can't stay in this house. I don't stay in my mom's house. I'll move out. So I thought, you know what? I'll stay in my car for a couple of nights, make her miss me. When I come back, she's begging to be with me. That wasn't what's going to happen, you know. So 2 days, slept in my car, you know, drove around a service station. You know, that wasn't very pleasant. I've actually documented this. It's on my YouTube as well, the whole adventure. If you get a chance, go on my YouTube, you'll see the video of where I document these things. But after like a week, I realized shit ain't working out. She's not calling me. So that idea ain't going to help, you know. So I basically had to figure it out. I had to go there, eat humble pie, and be like, you know what? She's like, nope, I don't want to be back together again. And you can't stay here. So I'm like, where can I go? COVID is happening. No one wants you to view houses. I was in a lot of trouble. So I had a camping set. I had a 5-man camping tent that I used to have before. I had my car, mobile phone, my laptop, and I slept in my car. In grand total for 9 months was my homeless journey. Yeah, 9 months. And this is freezing cold Germany. This is during the summer and cold times. This is during COVID. But I tell you, the most interesting thing is when we broke up, I just paid a company to teach me how to be a coach, because I was looking for a way. After I had the last company, when COVID happened, they had to drop me, obviously, because house builders, no one's buying any houses, they're not going to pay me anymore. So all the investments I had were gone because of COVID wiped out those investments. So I had, I think, £6,000 in my bank. That was it. And I just invested 5,000 into this coaching service. I had like a grand left. Grand left. That was it. That's all I had to my name, my car, my phone, and my laptop. So I had to figure out, in a country that couldn't speak any language, you know, their language. I've been there for a couple of years, but she spoke their language. I don't need to learn. I'm British. So, you know, so she can speak the language. So it basically meant that I had to figure out a way, my friend. I had to figure out a way to eat. I had to figure out a way to sleep. I had to figure out a way to build this coaching business. For example, I had no Wi-Fi, so McDonald's will give you 3-hour Wi-Fi. So what I'll do is, obviously it's COVID time, so you can't go in the restaurant. So what I'll do is I'll park my car as close to the building as I can, sit in it, and then you only get the Wi-Fi when you buy some food. So I'll order some chicken burger or whatever, get the Wi-Fi code, do some work for 3 hours. Then I'll go to Burger King, 3 hours. And then in the daytime, I'll go to the library, 1 hour. So I'll try to find ways to make it happen. Then I became really resilient and really reliant on myself, right? Of finding solutions. What changed to get me to Bali is this, and this is the secret sauce. I did something that's now known to be called monk mode, right? So for the first 3 months, I was still smoking weed. I was just driving around, you know, because I live in Germany, and Holland is like an hour away from the car. So I could drive to Holland, get some weed, get high, fuck it, you know, I'm living a life in my car, you know, go meet some bitches, fuck them, life is great. You know, who cares? I'm in my car, I'm still do whatever I want. Then it got cold. Then I'm like, bro, you can't be doing this forever, you know? So I made my mind up. Again, it's recorded on my video. I was like, okay, that's it. It's my last spliff. I'm going to make a decision to change my life. You know, make a decision of where I want to go. And this was in July was when I made that decision, just after my birthday, which is next week, by the way. I'm going to change my life. So what I did was, I obviously didn't have any social media. I had no distractions. I had no weed. I had no parties. I just had me. And I remembered all the things I went through my depression. I was depressed again, obviously. I'm lonely, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. You know, a lot of things are going on. But I remembered the experiential, I'm talking Vipassana, the experiential wisdom I had from going through what I went through. So I was able to apply all that systematically to myself. The first step was my mindset. I had to let go of the wanting of this relationship because I wanted her back. You know what I mean? So that was my illusion. I had to wake up to reality and understand that I was trying to change what is. So the moment I understood that I was living an illusion was a moment I can then walk towards something. Because before then, it's like, you ever go to those circus shows where they have all those different mirrors and wobbly mirrors? That's what my life was. Everywhere I looked, I was seeing a distorted example of myself. And even though I thought I saw myself, it wasn't reality. I saw me, but I was big, short, big. There was all distorted views of myself. So what I had to do was leave the fucking circus, man. You know, not break the mirrors, leave the circus. I had to make a decision to reverse out of this building, not leave the courtyard, leave all that shit, and walk out of the circus. The moment I did that is when I saw clarity. Because then I realized I was in a fucking circus all the time. Right? It's like casinos. Casinos have no windows in those buildings because they don't want you to know it's fucking daytime. They don't want you to know it's nighttime. There's no clocks. Because when you don't have any vision, any purpose, you're easily distracted with pleasures. That's where I was. So I had to wake up. First step was to wake up. The second step, now I'm awake. Now I've got the cold air. I'm looking around, grasping for air, like, what the frick am I doing with myself here? I then have to come up with a plan, you know? So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to do all the things that make me feel purposeful. So, because I couldn't have a shower, I don't have a bath, the only options I had were lake baths. If you've ever been to Germany, no lake goes past 5 degrees, my friend. It's freezing. So again, I recorded all of this. I knew one day I'll be doing something like this, right? I had to train my mind to go. Because the days I wake up in that car, look around and think, fuck me, I'm still here. You know? I could have been like, you know what? Let me go to Amsterdam and get some weed. Or, you know what? Let me go to a park. Or, you know what? Let me just laze about. No, Kimron, you need to find a solution. So I needed to train my brain, because this guy does not want to help me. I need to train him to go when I freaking say go. No doubts, no questions, no even waiting. So what I did was, I go to the lake, I'll walk into the water, I'll say go, and I'll fall back. No hesitation, right? Fall back, freeze my nuts off, give it a couple of seconds, I'll come out of the water, right? And I'll do my affirmations. Say to myself, you know, I'll give myself my affirmations. You are worthy. This is, you know, I'll talk to myself. At the end of it, again, it's all documented. Watch my videos, you'll see it on there. I'll then say, the world is mine. And this is temporary. All this crap I'm going through is preparing me for the greatness that's coming. Bring it on. The world is mine. So what I did was, going through my homelessness, I was able to build my coaching business while I was homeless. I coached up to 25 guys while I was homeless to show them how to do parental alienation, to go through what I went through 10 years before then, or 11 years before then, how to control or master their emotions when they're downward spiraling. Because when they lose their children, for them, it's an attack on themselves. And I show them how to remove that attachment of you're being attacked, to understand that your ex-partner is feeling this way, this is what she's doing. So it isn't you, it's just what she's doing. Let's control what we can control. Let's get yourself back up on your feet. Let's save you some money. Let's stop you from doing coke. Let's stop you from doing drugs. Let's stop you from turning alcoholic. Let's stop you from doing something stupid like kill yourself or threaten to kill them. Do you see what I mean? So I leverage all my experience from going through my depression when I lost my daughter, while I was still homeless, building my group. Because I said to myself, if I can rebuild myself using my strategies, I should be able to teach other people. Do you know? If I'm able to control my manic depression, if I'm able to master my emotions, if I'm able to be resilient, disciplined, and have my integrity and never give up, then I should be able to teach other people how to do that. That's exactly what I did. And then I remember the date. I flew to the UK November the 9th because I had to sort a few things out in the UK. Then I flew back to Berlin on the 10th, right? So one day, because a really quick thing I had to do. Flights were still cheap because no one's flying anywhere. So I like paid like 20 quid on Ryanair to fly. You know, two packs of weed, you know, so whatever. So I did that, flew back, went to Manchester, sort that stuff out, came back. And then, because I had been so focused on getting things, I had an email from someone saying, hey, we've got a house available in Leipzig. We've got these 4 people, come check it out. Everyone else has said no to me, right? Because obviously COVID had happened. No one wants to do anything, but these people reach out to me. So I flew to Berlin, got the train, went down to Leipzig. I was in Paderborn, which is other side. So Paderborn's West Germany, Leipzig's East Germany, right? Where Berlin is. So went there, met the guy. He done Vipassana, because he's the one that told me about Vipassana. And he's like, bro, I feel your energy, man. We just gelled. And they offered me a place. And literally, I finished a story. I'll tell you a story. On the 11th, they accepted. And then I went to move in a week later, all my stuff. I went to my ex's, grabbed all my shit, said, see you later. I drove there, and on my way to Leipzig, I was going to sell my car. I was down to £60, £70, right? Because obviously I had that whole 8-9 months to last on £1,000, right? And obviously the guys I taken on, I was only charging them peanuts because I'm still learning. Do you see what I mean? I can't charge them £5,000. So I'm still charging the peanuts, and plus I'm reinvesting, right? So I didn't have that much money on me. I parked up at the traffic lights. My new house is a minute away. Boom! Some girl who wasn't paying attention rear-ended my car. Totaled my car. Yeah. So that was like great. New city, new thingy. What else could happen to me? So because that happened, it was actually a blessing in disguise. Because I stayed in Germany up until, I think, March. And then COVID got more serious. So I was like, you know what? I'm out of here. Because Germany was getting crazy now. Everyone was in masks. Everyone was going nuts about this stupid cold. I'm like, fuck you guys, man. Wake up. This is nothing. What are you talking about? It's a sniffles. Yeah, but Germany, rules. I'm like, I'm out. I was going to move to Italy. Italy turned spastic as well. So I fuck that shit. So I was like, where can I go to? And Bali, because I visited Bali before. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to fucking move to Bali, man. So I had everything I had. I sold. I had a backpack, my laptop bag, and my balls, and I bought my ticket. And one-way ticket cost me 600 something euros. So everything, gave in the house, because everything happened for a reason. Because one of my housemates died in the house. So yeah, long story. So we decided to move. So everything was just happening for the right reason at the right time. I felt guided, Alex. Probably I felt guided, And then I landed in Bali. And here's where I tell you everything gets really screwed up. Okay, I landed in Bali on the 1st of July. 2021, okay? My quarantine was meant to be for 5 days in Jakarta. I was meant to be released on the 6th and then fly to Bali, right? Because Bali was the only country at the time that didn't require any jib jab, yeah? When I was in quarantine, they introduced the jib jab on the 5th of July.
Oh, no.
So I was in quarantine. They made it a requirement to fly to Indonesia. You need to have at least one of your shots done, or a boost or some bullshit, right? At least one jab. So when I got released from quarantine, I'm like, hey, I don't need a jab. I've been in quarantine. I'm zero. Let me fly to Bali. No. Can't fly. So again, using resilience, I was able to then come into Bali. But I was one of the last flights to come into Bali before they closed the freaking country. And here I am 2 years later. That's my story in a nutshell.
That's an amazing story, Kimron. I think people don't understand how scary it can be to be in a foreign country with no money. Like, it is a big thing, and people don't speak your language. You don't have no point of reference of what's going on around you. And that in itself teaches you like huge lessons. It's like, dude, I don't know anyone. I can't ask someone really a favor because I can't even speak the same language. And you learn a lot from just that. Never mind just going through everything else you've been through as well. I find it really interesting when you said, like, that you went on monk mode, and I want to know the state of mind you was in that led you up to that choice to go into monk mode, and like, what was it that made you have that clarity to go, right, this is happening right now? Because I think people will tend to sit in inaction, and they leave their problems and don't deal with them. They just build up, and they never seem to like deal with them properly. So what was that? What was the choice that made you go, right, this is happening now? What was the state of mind you was in?
So for me, that's how I gave that context about my manic depression, because everything led up to this point. I have always felt abandoned from a young child, right? I've always felt alone. I've always felt like no one really understands my mindset, understands me as an individual. So what I realized when I was going through this being alone and going through the depression, I think like I mentioned before, was I had that aha moment of, oh shit, I'm asleep. Like, oh shit, I'm doing everything I've did before. And that moment only came, and I'll tell you what moment came for me, was when I was still trying to get back with my ex. I went with them to this camping trip in Netherlands. I stayed around there, and the way she treated me, I was like, do you know what? She really doesn't want to get back together. I'm literally being a proper simp right now. Like, what am I doing? This is me. I can get down I want. What am I doing? No, seriously. I said, what am I doing? No, because, bro, when I was homeless, I had the most amount of fun. The things I did was outrageous. Like, honestly, because I have to go to different parks. I got to be open to people, speak to people. I had so much fun when I'm in the summertime, when I'm meeting people. I won't go into it, but I had a lot of fun. So I thought to myself, what am I doing here? What am I doing? I'm still trying to get back with this girl that doesn't want me. Like, where's my self-respect? And then that bulb went off in my head. I'm like, my illusion. Like Kimron, what are you doing? Your illusion is she wants you, but she doesn't want you. Why do you want someone to treat you like that? Right? Why? You got better more respect than that. You've come through a lot more than this. This is nothing. Where's your self-respect, man? Where's your tenacity? All these things that happen to you now lead you to this, and now you're giving up. You're falling apart. Can't happen. So it was me literally, because I was in my car, and instead of me watching Netflix, instead of me going onto YouTube, instead of me going onto Instagram, I used to listen to an audiobook. And I tell you, the book that changed my life for me. So the book I used to listen to was Robert Greene's. I don't remember the name of it now. Not 40 Laws of Power. Laws of Human Nature, sorry. Robert Greene.
Yeah, Laws of Human Nature. Amazing book.
Amazing book. And I have Audible, and I never used to really listen to it. But obviously, being homeless at nighttime, I couldn't sleep, and I didn't obviously want to. Because I already had it downloaded, I didn't have any Wi-Fi or data, so I have to listen to the books already I've downloaded, right? So I listened to this book over and over again. And I talked a few things, and it made me realize something, that I'm living an illusion, and I have to wake up. And the next day, I've got a video about that. I said to myself, I'll send you the link to the video so you can watch it. I said to myself, that's it. I actually said in the video how I came to this point. But I was like, I realized that I have to be the catalyst of my change. I've done it before, so I know what it feels like to change. And I now know that I fell back asleep, so I need to wake up. So I realized at that moment in time, because yes, you're right. Don't forget, I had 2 or 3 months of inaction, because I didn't feel the weight or the gravity of my situation, because I was still in that, like I said, that mirrored room where I was getting reflection of my proposed life, but really the reflection I was getting wasn't the reality. It was my vision of how I wanted to see myself. So I wanted to see myself as brave. I look in a mirror that makes me look bigger. Do you know what I mean? Like some people go in those mirrors and they tuck their stomach in because the mirrors make them look skinnier, longer, taller. It's exactly what it was. And in my mind, I knew that I needed to break that whole cycle and walk out, like I said. So what I realized was I had to start from the beginning. The catalyst to start was me deciding that weed was no longer going to be beneficial for me. I'm not going to smoke anymore. When I stopped smoking weed, I then started to get more clear. That's how I listened to the books. As I listened to more books, like in Vipassana, and the more you train your mind, the more your mind works for you. As I got rid of the crap dopamine, as I got rid of my illusion, my potential started to come in. And then because I was resourceful, I was able to figure out ways like to have a shower, a lake. Great, we go in the lake. Do you know what? That's a great opportunity for me to test out this theory. Let me test it out. Breath work, Wim Hof breath work, go jump in the lake, and that led up to my routine. So now wake up in the morning really early, right? Do stretches, do workout, whatever. Then go to the lake, have a cold shower, go start my day. That became my normal routine over time. But like everything, nothing happens in an instant. Yes, you have to make a decision to do, but that's the beauty of procrastination, because what's procrastination is to think about it, then do it. The space in between is procrastination. So I did a lot of procrastinating because I want to do it. Until I did it, those wasted space was always happening. So my aim was to make this as small as possible until I was able to do this, which was go. Do you see what I mean? But that takes a while. We're always going to start here. There's always going to be a gap between when you want to do something and when you do it. Always. No one, even Jesus, no one can say they could do everything all the time. It does not happen that way. But you have to train yourself to realize there is a gap. And then when you know there is a gap, that's when you can do about it. That's what I did. I just narrowed the gap from when I wanted to do something to when I did it, i.e. procrastinate, I made that smaller.
Yeah, it's about breaking that resistance. So your brain always has resistance to doing things, and you will listen to the excuses like your brain comes up with. It'll be like, "Oh, you can do that tomorrow," or someone might think you're weird. Don't do that. Don't go approach that girl. She'll think you're weird. And you listen
Yes,
to your brain procrastinating, and you start believing it. You're like, "Yeah, I probably
yes,
shouldn't do that because there's a bloke standing there, and he'll think I'm
yeah,
weird if she rejects me." And you come up with
yeah,
these mad excuses, and you listen to them, but it's all about breaking that resistance and
yes,
realizing that, look, that is just against me. I need to do what I set out to do. And it's what you said, it takes time, it takes practice, it takes diligence.
it
Kimron,
does.
so what would you recommend for people who maybe haven't suffered as much as you have or haven't been through the adversity? So I look at my life and it's been, other than this, like I suffer my own mental problems with social anxiety and that, but like the external factors have been very comfortable. And I think a lot of that actually causes my suffering. So what would you recommend for people who don't maybe have the external stresses? How do they find that inner drive to make change?
So there are always three there's always three learners in life that's going to make you want to change your life. There's always three things. Okay. One is empty or broke pockets. So when you're broke as fuck, you want to change your life. Second is heartbreak. So when someone leaves you or you lose someone, you want to change your life. You know, Jim broke, Jim, you know, and then the third one is public failure. You know, when you fail so badly that you want to prove yourself, other people wrong. So if you look at anything that happens in your life, it's always going to, the bucket will always end up in one of these three. So even though you might think externally you don't have no pressures, you have one of those. Think of anything and you can put it in one of those buckets. I bet you can. Right? So it's realizing though that these are the buckets of life that we pull our strength from. Right? Because on the surface, you're right, on the surface, because we don't understand the consequences of one of those affecting us, we choose not to do something about it because it's not present. Here's an example, okay? I'll come back to that, make sense. I can cut my finger now with a knife, right? It bleeds, right? My finger's bleeding. Oh God, shit, I've got a bloody finger, right? I'll ignore it because you know what? Yep, it hurts a little bit, but it's on your bloody finger, no big deal. I leave it, right? But a week later, it's going a bit, could have been green. It's like, what the fuck's on my finger? Shit, I've caught gangrene. Now I've got a problem. Okay? It's not much of a massive problem. I'll go to my doctor. Maybe next week I'll go to my doctor because, okay, it's green, but it's still there. One day I wake up, I'm like, the fuck's that smell? My finger's rotted off. Do you see what I mean? But my point is that a lot of us look at our problems as painful problems, right? It hurts, but it doesn't hurt so much. I must do something about it. So with those three nature's lessons, there's also three parts of pain or three parts of suffering. Okay? There's painful pain. I cut my finger, right? There's urgent pain. Oh shit, it's going green. To required pain. Oh shit, I'm losing my hand. And most people only do something when they have a required problem. Again, go back to the three teachers. Always happens to us, but only really learn once. For example, when you're broke, you can be broke, but it's painful. You have the money this week. Doesn't matter. You get paid next week. So you're broke. It's not a teacher. Every week you're spending your money going out, pissing up on the wall, going to the clubs. It's painful, but you replenish every week. So that a teacher? No. Okay, your girlfriend's not talking nice to you right now, or she's not putting out for a week. It's painful, but you'll get over it. You'll get some soon, right? You might have failed the test. Painful, yeah. But you won't do much, would you? Now let's make that a required problem. Yeah? The bank freaking bailiffs outside your door, repossessing your house. Right? Your girlfriend just slept with your best friend and your dad. Yeah? And now
Yeah, that is a problem. That's where you cut the line. The best friend's fine, but
not my dad and his best mates all together at the same time. Then you have the failure problem, which means, for example, your brakes have failed, you know, because you didn't change the brakes properly on your car. Do you see what I mean? So now you have a required problem. This is what we need to identify in our lives, and it's a responsibility that we have to have, because everything you go through is going to be in those three categories, and everything you feel will be in one of those three options. It depends on how you're able to identify them yourself. So for someone who thinks life is rosy, it isn't. It's only because you're looking at it as a painful problem instead of looking at it as a required problem, right? Because you're just seeing the present consequence instead of understanding the future problem, or looking at the present result and not looking at the future outcome. So again, if you're suffering, then you'll do something. But if you're suffering because it's painful, you won't do anything. So you have to look at life as required problems and be your own problem solution vehicle. What I mean is, instead of looking life like, you know what, I've got no money today, or I wish I had more money, or this guy's richer than me, or do you know what, I can't buy those jeans, or I can't buy this. The required problem is, you know what, I want to be able to have my kids have something in the future. What do I need to do to make money, right? I want to have a family with a loyal partner. What type of woman should I go for? I want to invent something that's going to change the world. Those are the things. And now what happens is, as Notorious B.I.G. just said, more money, more problems. More solutions, more problems. More options, more problems. So you have to reverse how you look at life. Instead of just saying life comes at me, you have to experience life through those three learners of being broke, being heartbroken, and then having failures happen to you. Because it always happens. The problem most people go through, and the reason why they take no action, like I said, is because they look at it painfully. No, it's a required problem. And an example from my situation is when I had £1,000, I had a painful problem. When I was down to £68, I had a required problem. But I could have done something 900 and something fucking pounds ago. You see my point? That's
it's like them the little cuts on your finger, what you're saying, that there has a compounding growth into something really negative if you don't deal with it. So you need to deal with things now, sort it out now before it grows on the side without you realizing. And then the darkness grows and grows and it consumes you when you least expect it. So you need to, instead of putting things off and waiting for the future you to deal with it, like deal with it now, get it done now. I think that was really interesting what you said, Kimron. And what tools do you use to find like clarity on what you need to do then? Like how do you get time of stillness to find out like where this needs to improve? That's where I want to go. What is your kind of method of doing that?
So I've got a few patterning methods, obviously, but I can make it really simple for people. I think the most thing that works for me when it comes to understanding yourself is to be able to detach. Now, I want to just add something I didn't add before, but probably help with this question. I discovered something. I was going through this journey of why I was suffering. So yes, we have those three teachers, and we have those three levels of pain. But the main issue or the main catalyst, and again to answer your question, was my attachment to those three levels of pain, my attachment to those three teachers. So in order for me to think clearly, I have to first detach myself from those things. For example, I am not my depression. I am not my heartbreak. I am not my failures. Because we attach ourselves to those things, either we want it or we don't want it. What happened was that because I always wanted it, that I felt like I was never happy because I wasn't happy until I got it. So for example, if I'm broke, I want more money. Guess what? I'm not happy until I get more money. How stupid is this? I'm saying to myself, no, bro, you're not happy because you haven't got more money, right? When I wasn't in the right relationship with the right person, I'm not going to be happy until I meet that person. And the same thing with B was, if I wanted to become successful in business, I'm not going to be happy until I'm successful in business. So I'm suffering until I reach something. And then when I got it, because I made loads of money, I've been in great relationships, I still suffered because now I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
Right?
And also that expectation you have. Yeah, go on, Kimron.
No, go.
That expectation you have, that expectation you have as well of like attaining that thing. So when you're broke, you think money's going to solve this, and you put a certain expectation on it. You finally get there, and nothing in reality can ever meet up to your expectations because we can't predict the future. We don't know how it's exactly going to feel. We can never gauge our emotions or what it's actually going to be like. So you get that money. And then, you realize, shit, that is not what I thought it was going to be. So then you've literally you sacrifice the happiness chasing this money, and then you've got the money and realize that the happiness isn't coming anyway. And then, as you said, more problems. Life is just problems. So then the problems of coming up going, I need to keep the money. So life is just constant problems. And as soon as you attach to something that isn't right now, there's going to be inherent suffering coming along with it.
Absolutely. And to answer that question, like you said, that's exactly what I have to do. For me to get clarity of mind, I have to detach myself from the outcome detach myself from the possibilities of getting or not getting and look at it objectively. Like what I had to remove myself from this illusionary state that I'm always living in, which is me trying to change what is. I had this really important quote I now live by that now helps me to move on. I'll share it with you and your listeners, okay? Is the moment you try to change what is into what you want it to be, means you no longer understand what is. Say it one more time. The moment you try to change what is into what you want it to be, you no longer understand what that is. And what I understood by that was that every single time I try to change my reality into what I'm seeing as. So for example, if I don't have the right amount of money for something, or if a partner doesn't meet my values, or if I'm seeing a business objective isn't working, I'm in my head thinking make it work, and that isn't reality. The difference between imagination, potential, and actuality. Potential helps you reach your goals. Imagination just helps your potential. So that's what I have to do. So in order for me to be clear about what I need to do, I need to see what it is for what it is, not what I want it to be. Because the moment I'm still looking at what I think it could be, I'm never actually affecting what is. I'm only affecting my illusion of what I think it is.
Yeah, it's about stripping back what you've. It's so hard. The mind's such a tricky thing, and we get so much stimulus coming in from like the expectations of society, what we see on social media, the projections of what we thought reality was going to be, and it literally eludes you from seeing what is actually happening. And I
Right.
like the. Have you heard of the backwards law by Alan Watts?
Go on, tell me about it.
So the backwards law is instead of focusing on the positive of something, so say you've got this goal and that's like 10 grand a month, instead of
Yeah.
focusing on the fact that I need to earn 10 grand a month, I need to earn 10 grand a month, focus on the negative of you not having enough money, because all it's going to
Right.
do if you focus on the 10 grand a month is then going to ruin your self image and going to obviously cause suffering because you're not earning 10 grand a month. But if you
Right.
look at reality for what it is and go, right, I haven't got any money right now, what can I do? You're very proactive about it and you're improving the negatives instead of trying
Yes.
to attain the positives.
I like that. I like that. I use something called why power for me, and it sounds very similar to that. So what I do is I focus on my whys. I really kind of break down why is it I can't stay the same and why I can't. So it's kind of similar to that. I like that. I might incorporate that into some of my trainings. But I use something similar, which is the why power. Why must I do what I must do in order to get what I want to get? And for me, and something from the Toyota Motor Company is called 5 levels deep. I think Tony Robbins does 7 levels deep. I do 5 levels deep, and I really go into the why of what I want to achieve, and I remember it firmly. So when I go through my moments of downtime, I go through my depression, I go through my negative thinking, I always go back to why. All that shit doesn't matter, because the thinking is, if your why is big enough, then your how, your what, and your whens become small. I learned it from the great Jim Rohn.
Yes, I read a book called Start With Why by a guy called Simon Sinek, and that was
Yes,
that was the important thing I
yes,
heard was, yeah, have you read it?
yes. No, but he
Amazing book,
took
yeah.
that, not from that, but he learned from Jim Rohn. Yeah, he came up with that concept. A lot of people have taken that concept from Jim Rohn. Just start with your why and focus on your why. After that, everything becomes easy. And I really believe that. It's one of my principles of life right now. Is never lose sight of your why, because my why is so massive. Doesn't matter what obstacles come in front of me, I will continue to push forward.
What is your current why?
So my why is my daughter. So I've got two whys. So one of my whys is I want to leave a legacy because I come from a very poor background, and I don't have a family tree per se, right? I want to be remembered 5 generations from now, where everyone looks in our family mansion at the great oil painting of great granddad Kimron, who started a legacy for us. I want the Gilberts. No,
That
seriously, I want
sounds
the
so sick,
Gilberts.
mate. Great granddad Kimron.
Yeah, great granddad. I want him to be like, thank you, great granddad Kimron, for allowing us to have this kind of life, right? And I want to be, when people look back at my family tree, they're going to start with me and my wife, right? And the rest of my kids. I want my kids to be prominent members of society. I want to leave a legacy so big that it helps other people to also follow through. That's the first one. The second one's for my daughter, my daughter and my mother. Because she hasn't been in my life, and because she got to miss out on this awesomeness, she got to miss out on a Gilbert mentality. I haven't been able to guide her to show her the realities of life and give her the type of thinking I want my other kids who will come in the future to have. So I want to leave something for her so she never ever thinks that she was forgotten. Because I know she thinks she was forgotten. I know she thinks she wasn't cared for. But I want her to know if anything happens to me, she has this thing that is for her, named after her as well, funny enough. We've named something after her, but all my legacy is going to be for her, and as well as my other legacy. So that's my why. And if I don't do it, I'm not going to leave a legacy for her. So you think I'm going to fucking fail, mate? No chance in hell. No chance in hell.
No, Kimron, I love that, mate. It's like really, it's beautiful to hear, to be honest. And one thing I noticed there that you were saying is like your whys were bigger than you. They were bigger than your self-serving biases, whatever it is, a bigger house. It was something that's beyond you. It's helping others. And I think when people really want to find something deeply where they can find deep drive from, it needs to be bigger than them. It needs to be something on a grand scale where, as you said, they can leave a bigger legacy and they can impact more than just themselves.
That's right, my friend. That's why I chose to be a coach. That's why I do what I do. Because after going through what I went through, I'm like, shit, okay, I've been through it. And you can be really careful, though, because I know a lot of people in the coaching scene, there's a big stigma about coaches. And I totally get it. I've coached people who are coaching, and I've had to tell them, stop coaching, because you might think you know something, but you're actually doing more harm than good, right? Because it doesn't mean, for example, if I give a guitar to a monkey, it doesn't mean it's an artist. Do you see what I mean? Doesn't mean if I give a scalpel to a chimpanzee, doesn't mean it's a surgeon, right? Having a tool doesn't necessarily mean you are able to do it. You're just mimicking what you've heard, what you've seen, right? So that's why I think it's important, especially in a space, to have a bigger purpose, to give back to people, but in a way that helps them through systematic, applicable ways of doing things. That's understanding who we are first. That's what's important to me, dude. Everything I do is not about me. If it's about me, I'll be these pretentious people out there showing off Lamborghinis and half naked on a freaking beach, all this other bull. You see my post. I couldn't give a fuck. I don't care who likes my shit. I don't care who wants my shit. I just spread my message. Who benefits? Amazing. Who doesn't? I couldn't give a damn. I'm living my life, man. If you don't want to listen to me, it's up to them. I couldn't give a shit. But if you're smart, you got wisdom, and you listen to what I say, you can possibly change your life. And that's how I look at things, dude. I have no attachment. I practice what I preach.
This is what really drawn me to your content. And when I thought, obviously, we met you in the Vipassana retreat, which we'll go on to later.
Yeah.
But what drew me to your content was, we still got a whole wormhole of Vipassana to go down yet. What drew me to you, Kimron, was the fact that you show real, authentic masculinity. It's not the smoking a cigar, driving the Lamborghini, having 12 bitches around me. It's the masculinity of doing the self-work and building self-awareness. And that needs to be pushed to a younger generation and people who are struggling more than the Andrew Tates of the world who are showing the Lamborghinis, who are showing the Bugatti. Whilst they have some good messages, I think the way it's portrayed, it actually has a negative influence on the younger generation.
Yes, I 100% agree.
So, Kimron, I want to ask a bit of a maybe a selfish question. What would you recommend for people overcoming social anxiety? So, social anxiety is something I've dealt with massively, and I've developed certain techniques of overcoming it. And I'm so much more confident. I couldn't have done this talking to you. My heart would have been racing and I would have been sweating, really fidgety. But through exposure and therapy, I'm a lot more confident, but there's still something there. It's this nagging mind. It's this physiological effects of the increased heart rate. And I don't know how to quite dive into what it is. So have you got any recommendations or any ways of healing trauma or something?
Of course, I do. Before I do into it, if you already know, I tell a story. So I want to tell you a quick story. 'Cause I think with storytelling, it's been the day old from back in the day. It's how humans used to communicate through stories, and we lost the art of storytelling. But this story is about myself. I know you probably look at me now and you're like, "Fuck, this guy is a beast." You can put him in a room and he'll work the crowd. This guy's a social butterfly. Wow, look at confidence. I used to stammer. Yes, my friend. I used to have a really bad stutter. I couldn't look people in the eye. And I suffered greatly with social anxieties. So in the UK, we have the culture of Fridays go out for drinks. Not me, not me, pal. Not me. I'd be scared to go. We had office meetings. I don't want to be in office meetings. I don't like to talk to people. I was really antisocial, but I forced myself. And it took me a lot to be around people. One, because I'm tall and handsome. So what happens is when you're this handsome around people, when you're this handsome around people, people want to talk to you. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, man. I'm not going to be nice. And because I'm tall, I stick out. Do you see what I mean? And I used to front a lot. So I used to puff my chest out a little bit more. So it made it worse. So people want to come over and talk to me. I'm like, fuck off, right? So I couldn't hide. I literally couldn't hide. So I had to develop something. I'll tell you what worked for me and what really helped me to go over my social anxiety. Practically, then let me tell you a theory, then I'll tell you the practical of it. Okay? So you already understand the Vipassana, how the mind works. You already know the mind isn't there to keep you safe. To keep you happy. It's only there to keep you safe, as you already know. You've been through the practice, and you know the mind is a non-stopping, chattering wanker that just wants to ruin your shit. Right? Because all it cares about is keeping you alive. That is it. That's the sole primitive perspective. So what I want to talk to you about, that really helped me, is the theory of it. So I'm just going to really give you a quick synopsis of it, then give you the practical. So in our minds, there's the 3 stages. Now again, I'm just going to give benefit of your readers, right? If you notice, I'll fly through this. There's 3 stages of a mind, okay? There's a superconscious, or the supposedly unconscious mind. There's a conscious mind, and then there's your ego, okay? So most people operate their lives on a subconscious mind, okay? So your subconscious mind does things like, when you're tying your shoelace, do you have to think? You don't think, do you? Brushing your teeth, do you think?
Nah, no.
When you're sleeping, breathing, do you have to think? There's so many functions that your subconscious mind does more than your conscious mind. But here's where it really gets important. People believe the subconscious or unconscious minds are conscious. Well, no, it's not. It's always conscious. You have one conscious mind and your ego, right? That's my contribution to the world. There's not 2 levels. There's always a conscious. But here's how it's separated metaphysically and chemically, right? So you have one conscious mind and an ego, but your conscious mind is separated through chemical signals and metaphysically, right? So that's broken down. The medical, physical part of your subconscious, or your conscious mind, the reptilian brain, keeps you alive. Fight, flight, so forth, yeah? Panic is the one that lets you know when you're hungry. The one that lets you know when you're tired. You don't consciously tell yourself you're hungry unless you smell food, right? If you're out, oh, I'm hungry now. Do you know what I mean? Someone yawns, oh, I'm tired now, right? So there are signals that your brain is always looking out for. It is never quiet. It's always looking out for stimulation. It's always looking out for stimuli. It's always looking out for information to keep you safe. Okay? So when hot water hits you, you get stuck. What happens is your skin comes in contact with something hot. Your mind tells you, oh shit, this is hot. It's bad to you. Then you pull away. It happens like that, right? Okay. So that's your reptilian brain. However, here's what's really important for you to understand. That reptilian brain also stores all your past learned habits and behaviors. Yeah? So what happens is most people operate like this, is a new experience. So say for example, let's use my example. I got to a work event, okay? And it's a new people, it's a Christmas party. It's a new work event, but last year's Christmas party, I didn't like it. I threw up, I got sick, threw up, my zipper bust, I'm embarrassed, I don't want to go. So now I'm looking at this Christmas party with last year's information. Now, a logical person will say, well, that's stupid, right? Well, no, none of us say that. What we do is, no, I didn't like last year's party, I'm not going this year. That makes no sense to a logical person if we were truly logical, right? You'll say to yourself, well, no, it's a new fucking event. You don't know what's going to happen yet. So what's happening, because you're anxious, and anxiety is this. Anxiety is a future outcome that you're not sure is going to happen yet. However, you're using your past learned habits and behaviors to justify that. So because your mind is saying, remember last year? Remember last year? Remember last year? Yeah, fuck last year. Fucking bitch, you're like, don't go, because your brain is trying to keep you safe. So it's saying, what it's doing is it's firing millions of different possible endings to that night. And because you can't grasp one of them, you now become anxious. Now, anxious is an umbrella word. And I want to teach you something, okay? That's a theory. Anxiety is an umbrella word to cover what's known as 8 unpleasant feelings. This lovely doctor called Joan Rosenberg, please read her book. She read this amazing book
Sorry,
called The
what
8
was that,
Unpleasant
Kimron?
Feelings.
What was her name?
Joan, Joan Rosenberg.
Joan
And she wrote this
Rosenberg.
book, 90 Seconds to a Life You Love, The 8 Unpleasant Feelings. Yeah? So read this book. It changed my life. I was able to process this. But her theory is this, is that the reptilian, when we talked about the conscious brain, the reptilian brain is always trying to find stimulation. And because your body, as you learn from Vipassana as well, your body reacts to stimulation. You know when a Sakara's risen, you felt that butterfly? All butterflies are your body chemically reacting to a past event in a new situation. Crazy. Because it's a new situation, yet we are taking all our past learned habits, our past experiences, and put it into the current event. That is madness. And that's what we do, and we justify it by the logical thinking that something bad or unknown is going to happen in the future. Therefore, I am anxious. And because you use the word anxious, you can't picture the outcome. That's a theory. Now, is it practical to get you out of it? What you have to do is identify what you feel. Because when you identify what you feel, you can now do something about it. You now practice Vipassana, you can let it go. And here's the 8 unpleasant feelings, okay? Anger, disappointment, embarrassment, frustration, helplessness, shame, sadness, and vulnerability. So the next time you say you're anxious about something, what are you truly feeling? Here's an example, okay? When some people say, for example, I know I used to be anxious about going out to those work meetings. I wasn't anxious. I just didn't like being vulnerable because I had a stammer. Do you understand? Okay? Then when it came to me being socially anxious about a meeting, I tell my story about a meeting. I used to wear glasses because it used to make me feel smarter. And people didn't feel threatened by me because I'm such a smart, good-looking black guy. And if you go into a meeting room, I'm the only black guy. So I used to feel like, I used to feel that people are going to look at me funny. So if I wear glasses, they won't think he's threatening, and I feel more, safe. One day I left those glasses at home, okay, for a big meeting. I tell this all the time. And I had a big presentation to do to one of our stakeholders for a couple of million. His building was losing like 3 or 4 million a day, and he didn't know why. And I was management accountant at the time. I had to tell him, by the way, Barry, your building's doing shit. Right? You think, who the fuck is this little piece of shit? So I had to overcome that. And the anxiety I felt was helpless. I felt vulnerable, and I also felt frustrated. What's frustration? Frustration is, I'm trying, but I'm not getting the result I want. Once you understand what you feel, you can then be like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? So next time you say you're anxious or you're feeling social anxiety, which one of those feelings are you actually feeling? Okay, do you know what? This event, actually, you know what? I feel a bit vulnerable. Okay, why do you feel vulnerable? Well, do you know what? The trousers I have isn't so good. Or maybe I should go to the gym because everyone's not wearing it. Whatever it is. It could be, I'm angry. Why are you angry? Well, because that last time embarrassed me, right? So now, I'm embarrassed. What am I embarrassed about? Well, now you're doing the work on yourself. Instead of using your umbrella, what's happening is anxiety just raining thunder on you. It's a fucking hellstorm, right? Ballistic missiles on your ass. And all you're doing is cowering while it beats the shit out of you, right? It beats the shit out of you. And then what happens is you now have a nuclear storm. You have nuclear rain falling down. So now you're looking up, the world's shitty. Everywhere you look is just shitty. It's a nuclear fucking fallout, right? You're looking around the world's shitty. Everywhere you turn, you feel like you cannot be yourself. So what you do is you pull up the umbrella of anxiety to shield yourself. I feel safe now. I'm under anxiety. So I'm just going to stay here under my umbrella and not be hurt, right? But everywhere you go, all you're doing is carrying your anxiety. You're not dealing with what it is. So you got to take off the umbrella, feel what it is. I don't want to get wet. Why don't you want to get wet? Well, I'm embarrassed. Okay, why are you embarrassed about getting wet? If I get wet, now you're doing the work. And now you're telling your brain to shut the fuck up. What your brain was doing before was painting all these pictures. Guess what you've done? Instead of all these millions of reasons, you narrowed it down to 2 or 3 things. I'm embarrassed, I'm frustrated, and I feel vulnerable. Now let me deal with this shit.
Throughout everything you're saying, Kimron, I can really see the importance of awareness. Like before, and you can't solve a problem until you're aware of that problem. And with everything starts with awareness. You have to be aware. And like one thing I did is it's pretty similar to what you said there. I got a journal out, or I would get my notes app up on my laptop or computer, and I would just ask myself why. So I'd be like, I got anxiety speaking to this woman. Why? And then my mind would come up with another weird excuse, and I'd be like, well, why did you get anxious about that? And I would keep digging in why. I'd be constantly asking myself, why did that make you anxious? Why did that make you feel embarrassed? Why do you feel like you can't be loved? And by doing that, it's really just taken away these layers of like these perceptions you've got about you or reality. But it all
Yes.
starts with awareness, and that really leads on to the thing I wanted to talk about the most, which was Vipassana. So, for those that don't know, the way I met Kimron was we sat a 10-day silent meditation retreat in Bali, and
Yeah.
fucking hell, like I try and tell people this now, and like words can't for me even comprehend what the fuck happened in that 10
Yeah.
days. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to just get, what was your experience of it, Kimron? How did you find that 10 days? How did you even hear it? I think you mentioned before you heard it from one of your friends, but
Yes.
why did you choose to engage with it, and what lessons did you learn whilst you was in the 10 days?
So I first heard about Vipassana, like I said, when I was in Germany back in 2021. But then I was traveling in Thailand last year for a couple of months, and I met this girl who just came from one in Bangkok. And she's like, hey, let's do Vipassana. And I was like, I always wanted to do it. I wanted to do it in Bali before I left, but the waiting list was just retarded, right? Like 3 months. So I was like, fuck all that shit. So I'll do it in Thailand. We applied, we got it in. But then they wanted to, you had to have 2 jabs, and I didn't have any, so I couldn't do it in the end. So I came back. I found out my ex-girlfriend was cheating on me for the 4 months I've been gone. Fuck you, Debbie! I'm joking.
I'm gonna send that to her.
I'm joking. Her name isn't Debbie. But let's move on. Um, so I came back and I found out, but I had applied before I found out she cheated on me, right? So I applied for I came back in November and I applied for obviously January because it's like 3 months waiting list, yeah? So I applied and I was like, brilliant, I want to do it. And it's just perfect timing. I found out in November she was cheating, and I knew if Vipassana was going to help me to deal with my demons, really help me to understand. And I did a lot of research into it as well. And I've always been on a spiritual journey. You see, I wear my beads. I've always been very spiritual. And because I've been through so much trials and tribulations, I've always been aware of a higher power, be it whatever you want to call it. There is no way we are coincidental on this planet. It's just impossible. There's something. And the fact that we're energy, and the fact that we're vibration, and the fact that we're frequency, and the fact that we're made up from water, which can be manipulated by energy and frequency, that blows my mind. So I knew that I used to do breath work before, so I do shamanic breath work. And I teach it as part of my training program as well. And part of my daily routine that I started when I was in Germany, I used to do breath work every morning for 10, 15 minutes. So I knew it was another level. And with breath work, I used to go to different levels, man. Like astral planing, like weird shit. So I knew it was possible. So my expectation of coming onto Vipassana was to deal with my trauma, right? Deal with all the things that I knew needed to come up. And boy, did they fucking come up, mate. Jesus Christ. Man, what a trip.
I don't think people realize what happens when you cut out all external stimulus and you just sit there with yourself for 10 days. And the way the technique goes is that they get you to like scan your body, so eventually you're not attaching to the bodily sensations. You're choosing where to put your point of awareness. And when you can train your brain to be that focused and that attentive to like different parts of your body, your mind has space to start freeing up all its like, I'll say it's like a dirty garage, and as you're not focusing on the garage, it's like the garage is cleaning itself, and things are coming up. All this dirty sofa, whatever it is, the
Yeah,
old bike you've got, all these things, all your past traumas and all the memories you've got are all coming up and being dealt with, and you just have to sit there and observe them all.
yeah.
And watching the nature of your own mind for 10 days it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I've never done anything that difficult, and I don't think I ever will.
You did amazing, mate. So you was right opposite me. You was on my left for the whole 10 days. And we have to go back to the same seat. So he's always there. And Obviously, I wasn't giving it as much as I should. I look at my eyes, I look at you guys still doing it. Fuck, they're still doing it. Let me close my eyes too then. So I was looking around to see who's got their eyes closed. You, mate, you were focused. I must admit. I never saw you with the eyes open. For the whole time you were there, I never saw you slacking. I never saw you slacking. Right? Because you're always in my field of vision. You were either just a little bit in front of me, I think you were. Just a tiny bit in front of me from where I sat. So I've seen you more than me. But mate, I tell you what, right? Go in there. I told you after I couldn't sleep because my mind wouldn't shut up. My mind wouldn't shut up. And they had to give me extra food just to tire me out because for the whole 10 days, mate, I only slept on the last night. Do you believe that? I only slept on the very last night. I had no sleep whatsoever. None. Because my brain was so active in talking. And it was talking the most amount of fraff. And that taught me that we have no control of this crazy guy. Because it talked the most amount of nonsense I've ever heard in my life. All you can do is listen to it. You have to just listen to it, right? Your mind is... So, mate, how far did you go back? I went back till I was 6. How far did you clean out?
So mine was like going back to like school memories when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, and like stuff that I
Yeah.
didn't even know was there. Things were just coming up,
Same.
and there was a few states of mind
Same.
that I got into where I didn't even know that plane of consciousness even existed. There was my point of
Yes.
awareness was that sharp. Even the
Yes.
idea of me was completely obliterated. It was
Yes.
I still struggle to find words to describe it, mate.
Yes, it was. The thing is, the benefits have been so great for me now. When I was able, like I think you mentioned this when we sat down. So just for benefit of viewers, so we had segregated places, women on one side, with a few hotties like I'm looking at, just to make me sane again. But there was also just us, and then we had like this little garden with a couple of trees in there. Nothing big, no flowers, just little trees. And one day, I don't know why, one day I just thought, you know what? Let me just look at this tree. And I started looking at this little bush. And I started to notice shit I've never known. I'm looking at it. All of a sudden, I see there's a ladybug there. And I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? It's been there all the time. So now I just look at a ladybug and once I see ants. Then my mind was looking at the ants. I'm like, wow, how do these ants work? So I'm watching them go through their path. I'm like, how do they know where to go? And my mind just got curious. Then I'll be like, okay, wait. If I just watch where they go, then I'll watch how they do things. And then one day, my friend, I remember this. I remember it completely. I was like, I just wish a butterfly. I don't know if you saw when it happened. What? These butterflies be flapping, right? One, it was majestic. One was like, I'm thinking, why is that butterfly so majestic and this one isn't? And then I was like, wouldn't it be nice if a butterfly just came and visit me? And one day in the garden, I was just minding my own business. A butterfly just landed on my fucking finger. I don't know if you were there to see that. It landed on my finger. And I was watching every single detail. It was so minute. My brain was so focused on detail that the tree was like a living fucking TV for me. Because I'll see a ladybug, then I'll see a little mini spider, then a gecko, and you see like a colony of things on this tree, on this little branch, this little tiny branch. And you're like, wow, then I'll look at the veins of the leaf, and I can see this. I can see the pulsation. That's when I knew I was high or something. But I can see the pulsation of the leaves. Honestly, mate, and that's why I was staring at it. I can see the fucking pulsation of the whatever the hell it is. And I was like, no, I'm tripping. I was just staring at it. You saw me. I was just staring at it.
For
You know,
people that don't know,
and
like
that's why.
when you've got like nothing to do, you'd walk around the garden. Obviously, you're not allowed to look anyone in the eyes, and I would like you'd
Yes.
look at people, and they would just be like this, staring at a tree for about 30 minutes. No, they wouldn't be doing anything else other than looking at their feet and staring at a tree because your mind gets that sharp. That is what you said, mate. Like reality is so interesting, but because we get so caught up in our daily lives, we forget that like we're in this complex universe of whatever is going on, and everything is infinitely fascinating. And when you cut away all the bullshit, you cut away all your responsibilities, and you're dealt with just your own mind and whatever's around you, you pay attention to how beautiful things are. And it sounds like hippie, but the world is just the most mad place ever. I can't even describe how infinitely complex things get when you build up your awareness to that point.
I try to get more people onto it, and they're just like me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think anyone can appreciate just how life changing Because just doing that, I used to be pretty calm. I'm Caribbean. But now I don't even say nature anymore because now it's just normal now. Nature, you know? I just
In
literally,
each year.
yeah, nature, you know. Every day I listen to the Vipassana discourse. Every day I listen to discourse. Just so I can remember, keep everything in there. My missus hates it. She's like, who's this Indian guy always chanting? She's like, I can't understand a word he says. Why is he always making all this noise for? I'm trying to get her to do it because she's all over the goddamn place sometimes, you know? So I'm like, babe, you just need to listen to this, chill yourself out, you know? I don't care. I'm listening to my Vipassana. If you don't like it, put headphones on, you know? Done. Right? So she doesn't bug me anymore with it. But the benefits have been so great where I know I brought up a lot of things that were haunting me, all right? But the benefits have been so massive that even today now, I find myself so relaxed. Before, I used to get loads of social, I used to get loads of butterflies and, you know, problems. But if, whenever I come up with a stressful situation, I'm as fucking cold as ice, mate. There is no, when I feel a sensation, I watch it come, watch it go, I'm back on it. Like, I don't crave, I don't run away from now. You know, if something new happens to me, and then I'm like, oh shit, oh okay, oh all right, buddy. I'm like, okay, that's what's going on. All right, Kimron, you're a bit pissed. Okay, let's watch it. Okay, it's gone. Cool. Next, like it's been it's revolutionized my life, my friend. Revolutionized my life. You know, confidence wise, and understanding, like you said, understanding who you are. Because once you get rid of all these illusions of who you think you are, and you're faced with just who you really are, you've got some harsh truths to deal with, man. You know? Harsh truths. And I realized that there's a lot of things I was still holding on to that made me not as fruitful in life. And I let all those go, you know? And now, dude, I couldn't give a fuck. like I just couldn't. That's why I just couldn't.
Mate,
That's why I
you've
do what I
hit the
do now.
nail
That's
on
why
the
I
head
do it.
there. Kimron, it's the same with me, mate. So the one big thing I got from this Vipassana course was like now I'm okay about talking about who I am and opening up to people. And I didn't realize like that is the most trite advice. When I used to hear it, it'd be like, just talk about how you feel. And I used to think, oh, that's just some guy talking a load of bullshit. What's he talking about? But since this Vipassana course, I'm like, I've spoke to so many people about how I'm feeling, about the problems I have, and as soon as I do that, as soon as I open up, it's like that insecurity and that anxiety that sits in me gets flipped into my own power. And now I'm
Yeah,
finding that like I'm driven by that. Instead of my insecurities and my anxieties like causing me
yeah,
to hide away, they've been
yeah.
turned into my own power, and that was all through just sitting there and observing them and letting them come and go, and realizing that they're not me, they're something separate.
Exactly. Like I said ages ago about that attachment, right? Once you remove yourself from the attachment of the thing, the people, or the place, you're free to really express who you are. And the beauty of who you are isn't necessarily the metaphysical portion of you. It's in the values you now have. It's in the way you now address the world, the way you now interact with the world. Because most people, I'll tell you a really funny story, Alex, actually. So I tell the missus, especially I notice it even more now since I don't be passing up. The next time you go out somewhere, I want you to just stop and watch people. Just watch what they do. And you'll notice something. And everyone does it now. When you go out, everyone is on their fucking phone. Everyone. We've gone out places, and I have a rule. I have a rule. I say to my girlfriend, I say to my friends when we're out, no phones. And if we're out, if I've given you my time and hanging out, your phone has to be gone, buddy, because this is my precious time. If you want to be on your phone halfway across the world, you do that in your own time. But if we're hanging together, one of my love languages, my values is communication and quality time. So I say to her, listen, no phones. And she no longer on the phone, right? But she notices everyone's on their phone. Everyone's like this. And you'll see a group of people, 10 people, no one's fucking talking. We'll go to a restaurant, it's quiet because the music's playing, everyone's just on their fucking phone. And me and her are talking, laughing, and we're like, shit. Because everyone is just so preoccupied with being distracted. And since Vipassana, I am even more aware of how this world is conspired. Yes, it's conspiring. You want to call it conspiracy, call it whatever the fuck you like. The fact is, everything now is about now, right now, yesterday now. I wanted it 5 minutes ago, and why is it not here? And then everyone wants to live a life vicariously for other people. So no one is actually, we are now, I believe, Alex, we are living what I like to call a partial virtual reality, where people's bodies do exist, but their minds in the cloud, literally.
I completely agree with that, mate. Like, really just go out and it's weird how we've had the same experience because everywhere I go now, I'm very happy just to be like still and mindful. And when you do that, you observe your environment just naturally because
Yeah,
you're there and you look around and everyone's just zombies. They're just there on their phone. They're so
yeah,
engaged in this
yeah,
fabrication, this illusionary
yeah.
life that it's like digital psychosis. We've created
Yes,
this other mind in this device and we're
yes.
trying to live up to this ego that we've got, this ego that's in our device, and we're so engaged in it that we're losing the essence of what is life, which is life is just made up of present moments. It's
That's
all it
right.
is. And you look around and no one's in the present moment. It's what you said, mate. The body's there, but the mind is just it's gone elsewhere.
Yes, my friend. And it's sad, but Vipassan's helped me to, and I've always been that way. What Vipassana has done is Vipassana has made sense to how I used to be. I used to practice Vipassana without realize I was practicing Vipassana, being in the present. Not necessarily scanning my body, but I've always learned how to be present going through the things I went through. So Vipassana made sense. I was able to verbalize what I was going through. And then I was able to conceptualize the whole experience. And then I was able to make it into an actual thing, being like, okay, cool, now it's structured. Whereas before, I was just fighting myself to get myself back into the present. I now have a technique that allows me to do it automatically. That's the only big difference for me, you know? And I urge anyone, people listening to this now, if you haven't done Vipassana and it's 10 days of your life, main excuse people tell me, my girlfriend's like, oh, 10 days, I can't afford 10 days. I'm like, you can't afford 10 days? You've been living this way for the last 30 years of your life. Trust me, that 10 days will be the best 10 days you've ever spent doing anything in your life. There's nothing that I can say that I've done in a 10-day period of time this life changing. Nothing. I've done a fucking lot.
It's yeah, you've been through a lot of shit, Kimron, and this is
Yeah, man.
it's invaluable. It really is. You can't explain or I can't put into words what it's going to like give you back. You just need to go out and achieve it. So, Kimron, I've got one more question for you, and this is like a question
Go on.
I want to ask every one of my guests that come on. So,
Go
if
on.
you could look back at this like young Kimron who's struggling through all this shit, doesn't know what's going on, what is the one bit of advice you would give him? You've got one message to send to him. What would it be?
To be honest, and I've really thought about this, and I'm gonna let me just think about it then. Hold on. Yeah, is to not give a fuck. And when I say this, I'm gonna say to him, don't care what others think about you. Because the moment you are bothered, care, or you are attached to what people think about you, you are now their slave. Because they say something good to you, you're up. They diss you, you're down. And you're going to spend your life fucking bobbing up and down trying to please other people. So do you know what? Kimron, do what pleases you, buddy. As long as you don't harm anybody, as long as you don't cause any distress to people, steal, rob, or kill, do you based upon your values. And do not try to impress, do not try to convince, and do not try to do anything to people who do not celebrate you. If they tolerate you, you walk away. Go where you're celebrated and fuck everything else. Because I wasted a lot of my years caring what other people think about me. I wasted a lot of my years worried about what other people might see me as. I don't give about that anymore. And I'm free. I'm free. I'm free from judgment. I'm free from acknowledgement. I couldn't give a crap. You don't like me? So what? I still do what the hell I want. It doesn't bother me, pal. That says more about you, mate, than it does about me. What, I'm ignorant? Or what people like to say? What do girls people like to say now? I am what is it? Not aggressive. Oh man, I have a lot of people saying, because for example, I tell people as it is, dude. When people talk shit to me, I tell them, I think you're talking shit, and this is why I think you're talking shit, right? Or it'd be like, misogynist or whatever. When I say things like my opinions about men and masculinity, right? They try to shame me, right? I'm like, look, I don't care about that sort of stuff. You can't shame me. I don't give a crap. Do you know what I mean? If you like it, you like it. That's you. You like it, but I don't like it. So if I don't like it, you don't have to like it. Don't try to make me feel bad for not liking what you like. That's your problem. I sound like a you problem. Before then, I used to be like, oh yeah, you're right, yeah. Or maybe I'm wrong, and I feel bad about it for days. It's like my fault that I don't like wearing a dress. That's what. Quick example. Quick example. This feminist girl, right? We're having a conversation over dinner. Yeah, over dinner, we're chatting, And she's like, what do you think about men wearing dresses? I'm like, a kilt? She goes, no, wearing a dress, like Harry Styles and stuff. I go, why is a guy wearing a dress? She goes, you know what? Do you not feel emasculated because you're wearing a dress? I go, no, I don't want to wear a dress. What the hell am I wearing a dress for? Why would I want to wear a dress? She goes, well, then you should wear a dress because, real men wear dresses. I go, no, they don't wear dresses. Real men don't wear no dresses. You might think that because you might think you got power. Oh, what? You're not masculine anymore? That affects your masculinity because masculinity is so fragile? I'm like, look, one, you know what you're talking about. Two, I don't want to wear a dress. If someone else wears a dress, that's up to them. You asked me what I thought about it. I just told you. Yeah, I'm not here to say what you thought I was going to say, right? I'm telling you how I feel about it. End of story. That's it. Do you see what I mean? And it's my point, my friend, is when you're at this stage where you don't care. I'm not trying to hurt people. I'm not being anything. If you ask me, what's my opinion? Here it is. If you can't take it, that's a you problem, not a me problem. If you don't want my answer, don't fucking ask me the question. Do you see what I mean? If you don't like it, that's a you problem. That's for you to, that is what I will say to myself. If anyone out there, you have to learn to not give a shit. There's a difference between arrogant and being confident. Okay? When you're arrogant, you can't back up what you've got. When you're confident because you've done it before, you know what the experience is like, and you can do it with your eyes closed. Okay? So if you're going to deal with difficult people and go through your life today, you have to understand that you cannot please everyone. So go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. If people tolerate you, then it says more about you than it says about them, because you're choosing to go back to being tolerated. That's my advice I'll give my younger self. Fuck everyone else. Go where you're celebrated, because you know what?
Spot on, Kimron, mate. Absolutely, mate. One thing I say to people with that is, like, it's a pure illusion, because the only reason you're chasing the perception, the only reason you're chasing the admiration of others is because you think they're going to perceive you in a certain way. So you want them to perceive you in this way, but that you're never knowing. You're never going to know what's going on in their mind. So that is a pure illusion in itself. You're chasing something that doesn't exist. It's a complete waste of time. You. That's it. Do you. Don't be a dick. Don't be a fucking knobhead about things. But you. Do what's morally right for you and follow your truth. And if you do that, you'll get where you want to go.
That's it. No harm anyone. Carry people. Help people. Follow your own moral compass. I know my values. So the first thing that's important to anyone that's trying to move in life is know your values. What are your values in life? Communication, integrity, whatever it is. Then once you know your values, that's how you process your life. Everything we do is based upon our values, Alex. Everything we do. And most people, they process their life based upon their past experience, like I told you about the unconscious brain. We always go back to our past habits when we try to do new things. We have to learn to go through our values. I value integrity. I value communication. I value honesty. I value teamwork. I value adventure. I value outdoors. So I'm going to live my life through those values. But I'm also going to enforce them with people in my life by setting my boundaries. So people know, hey, these are my values. It's how I live my life, right? I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but guess what? Around here, we don't talk bad about people. We don't backstab people. I don't gossip. So you want to tell me gossip? No, listen. Values. You see what I mean? Because I value friendship. So if I've got friends, another friend's telling me another friend, bro, don't tell me about that. You tell him directly. I don't gossip. That's why on my content, you don't see me talking about news. You don't see me talking about red pill bullshit. That's just gossip for girls. I'm not into any of that shit. Do you see what I mean? Don't gossip. What are we doing? It's all about value. So I recommend to everyone listening to this, just figure out what you really value in life. Once you know what you value, everything else makes sense, because you will process everything based on those values. If you don't know what your values are, spend the time to do so. Because once you do that, you are now on the right path to living your life the way you truly want to, not with the values of your family, the values of your community, the values of your religion, or the values of your friends. And that's what most people have problems with. Is they grow up with the values of their family values and their religious values or the expectations of other people. And you always have conflict with that because it doesn't match your own values. Some people grow up Christian, or Muslim, but they want to be Christian. Or some people grow up religious but want to be atheist. Some people grow up atheist but want to be religious. Some people grow up straight and want to be gay. Just shit happens. Shit happens, but what are you? You are some of what you believe. What you believe is either other people's beliefs or your own. Pick one.
Beautiful. I think we should finish it on that, Kimron. Mate, honestly, Kimron, you're a very special individual, mate. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and I
I
think that's
appreciate you, my friend.
something. This is a podcast that people should go over and re-listen to because there's a lot of value being dropped there, and it's all a process of improving yourself. But what Kimron's talked about today, there are massive steps that you can take towards changing your life, and he normally pays for this shit, people. Like you have to pay to hear this shit. So listen to the
Paid me a lot
podcast
of money
again.
for this shit.
But
You've
Kimron,
paid me a
I
lot of
really
money for this.
appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been really,
Thank you.
I'm really grateful you coming on, and yeah, it's been interesting. My first guest as well, so I'd just like to say thank you, dude.
Oh, if I set the bar high, anyone else comes up, just say, look, I've had Kimron Gilbert on my podcast, people. But no, I appreciate that. Honestly, I want to thank you for having me on here, and I'm grateful for you giving me opportunity as well to tell my story, and to speak to other people. Because like I said, my main mission isn't to be the next Tony Robbins or to make millions of pounds or dollars doing this. My only mission is to spread my story, and I hope people would listen to it and then choose to take their action on that and it benefits. And that to me is what's important. If I can guide one, two, three people to change their lives, dude, I fulfill my purpose, man.
Yeah, it has its butterfly effect as well. You change one person who changes another person, and it goes and it compounds, and yeah, just you don't realize how much you're doing in the world if you just help one person. So yeah, you're doing a good job, Kimron, mate, and I'm sure we'll catch up at some point
We
in the
will.
future and do another
We will.
podcast.
No, we will do
Yeah,
whenever
I've
you're
got
ready.
plenty more
Whenever
I've
you're
got to
ready.
talk about. I only got to like a couple of questions, so I've got
Really?
loads more here. So yeah, we'll definitely have to rewind and do this again.
Sure. Sure, no worries, my friend. Whenever you're ready. I
All right.
appreciate you. Thank you so much. If people want to find me, I'm just Kimron Gilbert everywhere. By all means, go look at those videos. I actually have, when you go to my YouTube, one of my first videos is the same video I was telling you about. So if you get a chance, Alex, go to my YouTube, Kimron Gilbert, and then watch this. I think it's about 19 minutes, the full video, but I have all my recordings about what I just said to you guys. Like I said, everything I say is it's real, it's authentic because I live that life. But it's just nice to share that journey with you guys. By all means, look at that video and hopefully you can learn some things from that video as well. You see exactly the process that I did. I recorded me doing the lake thingies. I recorded what I felt like in the car when I was really depressed. And I'll be super vulnerable in that video. So I would recommend that you and your viewers spend 10, 20 minutes of their life just to watch that video. It'll be very beneficial for them.
Yeah, that's super authentic, mate. Like they've actually got a capsule of your journey, the things you're talking about. It's there. It's like proof. So I'll leave Kimron's links in the bio, people, and I'll put it on my Instagram as well. So go and watch all his YouTube videos. Like go and see someone who started out there and actually achieved it, and you've got evidence of that as well. That'll be it'll be super inspiring for you. So Kimron, it was nice having you on, mate, and I'll see you next
I
time.
appreciate that. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. It's been amazing. See you later, guys.
Right, I think that stops way there.